Thank you for standing by and welcome to the Tamp two-step espresso general operations webcast. During today's webcast, attendees will be in listen-only mode. There will be a Q&A session at the end of today's call. If you have a question during the presentation, you may submit it online by entering it into the QA panel. If you're in the full screen view, click the question icon located in the floating toolbar at the lower right side of your screen to open the Q&A panel. Simply type your question into the dialog box and click the send button. If you're in the split screen mode, the Q&A panel is already open and is located on the lower right side of your screen. As a reminder, this presentation is being recorded. If you're experiencing technical issues, please contact WebEx technical support at 866-779-3239. Our speaker today is Guido Dye, Manager Technical Support. Guido, please go ahead.
Hi everybody, my name is Guido Dye. And today I would like to talk a little bit about the operations from a Tamp two-step machine. Two-step machine means that you do with one step your espresso portion from the drink, as well then you have the opportunity to steam the milk manually with your steam wand. So the equipment has two bean hoppers. The large one is the bean hopper for the regular beans, while the small one is for decaf beans. Certain customers might be using a different setup here, but that's normally the rule of thumb. We have here an operator door with our touchscreen. The operator door opens and it's secured with a lock. You have behind the operator door our espresso hotline number. So in case you need to place a service call, that's where you find the telephone number for that one there. We have our steam wand here. And then we have our puck bin. And our puck bin, you can take it out. It has here for smaller cup sizes or larger cup sizes an adjustable tray. Our main power switch for the unit is here on the inside, on the left hand side, and our plate for the machine with the correct serial number is here on the right hand side inside that puck drawer. So when I turn on the equipment, the machine will be powering up. If the machine is off, it takes around 7 minutes to heat the unit up. If the machine was previously on, it's probably just a couple of minutes here. The machine goes through a boot up process. You hear currently that the machine was draining some steam out of the steam boiler. So if you hear that, don't be scared about that. That's part of that initiation process. And whenever you turn the equipment on, the machine will be filling the tanks. And after that one, you will be seeing two bars here on the screen. The top bar is our brew boiler. The bottom bar is our steam boiler. So that gives you an indication that the equipment is actually heating. If the machine would have an error code at the startup or something like this, that would be coming up in a different screen. And we will cover that in a slightly different class here. When I now insert my puck drawer, you will hear that at that point the machine is running the brew mechanism up and down to initiate it. So you hear your brew mechanism is now running. It's going into its normal grinding position and is then waiting there for you to make drinks with your equipment. Whenever the machine is ready to brew, you see that you have on your screen the products in a color-coded theme. Whenever these products are grayed out, that means that the equipment is not ready. And if it's not ready, it will tell it to you down here in the status bar. So currently the machine says here, ready to brew. If I take the puck drawer out, you see now that the machine has a color change in the products, and it tells you down here that the puck bin is not in place. So that is currently then what stops the machine from you making a drink. And you can get on this status bar, you can get alerts like, the puck drawer is full, for example. A bean hopper is empty or something like this. So you find that here. Whenever you see a question mark on that screen, that means there's a hint behind it. A hint is what can an operator do to make sure that the machine gets back into operation without calling the hotline or something like this. So if you press the question mark button here, you see on the screen troubleshooting tips for that alert what is out on there. We see that we have sometimes troubleshooting tips for the machine not being ready, as well as for certain error messages there as well. So if I now go backwards, if I now put my puck bin in, you see now the machine is again ready to operate. The steam wand is operated from this big block here. It currently says purge. That's normal. So whenever the machine turns on, we want to first purge the steam wand, as well as whenever you made a steamed, or you use the steam wand and you basically heated the milk. After that process, every time the machine wants you to purge the steam wand to make sure that there's no milk going into the steam wand itself and clogging that steam wand there. So if you now press that button, you will be seeing that you have some steam coming out of that steam wand here. And after that one, it changes it into its normal operating screen. So the normal operating screen shows you here that you have 3 temperature selections. So this is normally a kit's temperature, a lower temperature. It's around at 130 degrees. The regular temperature is set somewhere around 158 degrees, while the hot, extra hot temperature is where it is set somewhere around at the 165 degrees. These temperatures can all individually be adjusted to a customer need. Whenever you then hit the IntelliSteam, at that point the machine will be steaming the milk exactly to that temperature and then shut off. If the machine, if you want to get it manually hotter after that one, or you just want to do something very specific, you can always do a manual steam. That manual steam ignores and will not shut off the machine, the steam wand there automatically. It waits till you turn it off. And you have then here a manual purge function again to just purge the steam wand. What else do we see? We already talked about our status bar here. You can make a write grinder, so that means every product you're now making is coming out of this grinder. If you make press the left button, these products would be now coming out of your left hopper. These product selections is all customer individual. So your screen might be looking differently because you're offering different drinks to your customers. And that can be adjusted based on a customer need with up to 9 drinks on that screen. We have a care and cleaning button here. This care and cleaning is where you can basically individually do a coffee rinse, or you can start your cleaning cycle on this unit. This cleaning cycle is a picture prompted cleaning, very easy to follow. We will show that in a different session here as well. The very good thing is here on this screen as well, it tells the customer exactly what the bun part numbers are for the correct cleaning supplies. We know that in the marketplace there are a lot of cleaners out there. Every manufacturer has its own cleaning tablet because they always tailor the cleaning process towards that cleaning chemical to make sure that the equipment is getting as clean as possible. So if you want to call in to make sure that you have the right cleaning supplies, that are your numbers there. After a while, the machine will always jump back into the right grinder selection because that's normally your regular product, and that's where the machine then normally jumps back to. If for whatever reason you make a drink and you made a mistake by it, you can at that point press a cancel button. It will change when you make actually a product to stop, so that at that point you interrupt whatever drink the machine is dispensing. We have a magic hidden button. Whenever you press and hold the bun logo for 5 seconds, the machine basically jumps to the next screen. On this screen you can put the machine into a standby mode, and that's very important. When you're at the end of the day, we don't want you to turn off the equipment. We want you to put the machine into the standby mode. If the machine is not making any drinks, within 2 hours the machine will fall asleep or go into the standby mode on its own. Why is that kind of important, not turning the equipment off, keeping it on and keeping it in a standby mode? In a standby mode, the machine is basically lowering its operating temperatures, but it's not turning everything completely off. If you turn the power switch off, the machine is just off. At that point, the boilers are completely cooling down, and when you then heat up the boilers, you will do two things to the equipment which are not very good for an espresso machine. The first thing is, on gaskets you have a higher wear and tear when the machine is cold, hot, cold, hot. And the next thing is you're building up a little bit more scale in the machine. So we encourage you to make sure that the equipment is always on and let it fall into the standby mode. When you put it into a standby mode, what you will be seeing is the machine basically at that point makes the screen dark, but you still hear the fan from the equipment running. So at that point you know my machine is on. If you then come as an operator back in the morning and you say I want to get the machine back in operation, you just tap on the screen and then the machine will be heating up. Here you saw the machine is immediately there. In the morning normally you see again these two status bars for the heating process, and it takes around less than a minute to get then the machine to the right operating temperature to make sure that you can serve drinks to your customers. We have as well behind the bun logo our regional settings. In this regional settings you can change the time and the date from the unit. Our unit does not change in between a summer and a winter time. So if your clock is off, this is where you change it. You highlight one of these buttons you want to change. You take an arrow up and down you change it to whatever you want to do it, and then you basically press save and exit. You have as well two options to change the language in between English, French and Spanish, and you could change the units in between English and metric. And in metric everything would be shown in degree Celsius for you. We have machine cup counts and machine statistics. This is really something probably more what you want to cross-reference to your POS system. So if you go into cup counts, you would be seeing per drink how many drinks you have made from that particular product. You have always a daily, and currently daily here is highlighted. If you press into a lifetime, that is a non-resettable counter. If you go back to the daily and you highlight, for example, this one here, and you press reset, the machine reset this one, and from that point on, you know till the next time you look in there how many drinks have been made. That's the difference between lifetime and our daily counter. In the machine statistic, that's normally where our service technicians, when they come out for a service call, are collecting the information. They look into what the cup counts are, water usage are, steam time. We see here how many pounds of coffee each grinder ran. We have again a lifetime total. When you press here the top one, you see a lifetime total which cannot be reset. If you go back here to the cycle count, for example, and you press reset, that one is again set back down to 0. Again, this is a very good indication for if you want to track products or equipment usage. You have on the top, you see the software version running, and you see the serial number here from the equipment. Again, the serial number is as well on the plate here and the puck drawer on the right hand side. Underneath of that one, you see here 5 green bars. This is for our feature called bundling. This is basically the reception from the equipment. The bundling board has then a cell phone installed. This is the signal strength. If the bars are green, Bunlink is working, Bunlink is connected to the network. You might see here and there that Bunlink is at that point blue. Blue means the machine is connected to the network, but for whatever reason it cannot connect to the cloud. In these cases you can call us and we will come and look at it. If you only see at that point there are 5 gray squares, that means Bunlink is no longer in usage. And that might be the case that after your PM contract expired, Bunlink also expires, and Bunlink always comes with a PM contract. So you can have it because you either do not have any PM programs there anymore, or if the machine is still under a PM contract, something is wrong with the board, and then again we will be more than happy to help you to get that corrected. So this is kind of the operations from the equipment, what you can see out here. And I would like to cover real quick 2 things. We have here the drip tray. Depending on the vintage from the unit, you might have 2 different style of drip trays. The first one from the first generations, and I have this one here, basically looks like this. This is a generation 1 drip tray. The main difference is it has an oval shape, and it has the drain line always connected to a drain block. So in this case you cannot remove the drip tray for cleaning from the equipment. Newer machines, they have a different drip tray. So this is a new design from the drip tray. This one does not have any more a drain line attached to it because it has kind of a quick connect on the equipment. So this one can be removed during a cleaning, and to make sure that you have no debris in it or something like this. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions in more detail, there are some more sessions around what we are covering. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than welcome to and happy to support you with any question there. Have a good day. So I think this is now a great time to, if you want to ask some questions, we have the questions answer sections on the webinars. So if you want to type, please, in the question you want to get answered here, please do so, and I will be more than happy to assist you with these. Perhaps one thing while we are waiting for some of these questions to come through, what we didn't really cover at that point in this class, because we moved it towards the grind adjustment, had been the management from the bean hoppers. So what we sometimes see is that customers are spilling a lot of beans into the equipment, and it only happens because the slider from the bean hopper is basically opened before the bean hopper is inserted in the machine at the right time. So to look at that one real quick, when you open the door on the machine, you have a slider here very far on the inside. You push it in to get the bean hopper off from the equipment, and this is kind of the slider I'm talking about. So if accidentally, when you take the bean hopper off, you put beans back in and you forget to open the slider, you do not see that from the outside from the equipment, and the machine might give you an error message about the bean hopper empty. Before you call in for service, it's always very helpful to open the door real quick and make sure that this slider is all the way out. If I would pull it now out, all the beans would be dropping here on the floor. So that's basically the function from this slider, to close the bean hopper. And then as well, when you pull it inside the machine, the hopper is kind of locked in place so that you cannot move it out there. So if you put it in here, it is movable and everything. As soon as I now open my slider, I cannot lift the bean hopper there anymore. So that's something what we are covering in one of the other sessions around the grind adjustments there. I just wanted to bring that up here because I think it fits as well in this portion of the class. So as we do not get any questions here, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something out of this class. We have every Friday currently a class coming up. So the next one, I hope to see you then there. Again, it's Friday at 11 a.m. And oh, there's one question. Let me see. So the question was about the advanced programming. That's a good question. We have different codes to get into that one. So we already talked about the magic button here. When you press the button for 5 seconds, you have an advanced menu options button. When you press this button here, you get a display like a cell phone, and there is an operator code. This operator code is 6601, and when you activate the 6601, you're getting into the next 6601. You're getting into a next menu set there. This menu is really something where not the day-to-day operator, but perhaps a manager knows what is behind it, because you can change recipes, you can change machine settings, and there are values behind it. So we have one value which calls recipes, and with this button you can change each individual recipe on your machine. When you go, for example, into a double espresso, you see how we are making the drinks. So you can see a coffee button and how much grams of coffee are coming in, how much water you're using, that's the volume in the cup. We can do a bypass and an after, bypass before and after. This is if you make either an Americano or a kind of coffee drink out of this one. And then we have a pre-infusion and a dwell time on that product. So whatever value you change there reflects a taste profile change to it. You also has always a default recipe. If you press this button, it always defaults back into the bun original recipe which was set there. And on a double espresso, for example, it's 14 grams, 60 milliliters with 0 pre-infusion. That's kind of an SCA standard for a double espresso. So when you press it and you had customer-specific recipes in it, you're jumping back to the bun recipe and you might be losing it. So be careful with this one there. The next button is you could change on the IntelliSteam here. You could change your temperatures for when the IntelliSteam shuts off the steaming of the milk. Let me go back to the question there. Can we set the pre-infusion time and the amount of water? Yes, you can do that. Let's finish this one real quick here. So if you want to change, for example, your default temperature here, you just tap on it and you increase or you decrease with the arrows the temperature there. You do a save and exit. So the question was about the pre-infusion and the dwell time. So the pre-infusion, what you do is you press pre-infusion, you get again your screen where you can put the numbers in, and you can increase or decrease that number and can change that value. If you put in here, we had previously 5 seconds. If you put, for example, 6 seconds in, you press an enter, and at that point the machine basically took that information over into the new recipe. So now the machine will be running within that 6 seconds of pre-infusion, and you could have here then as well the time. If you are entering there a value from the liquid, so if you're adding, for example, 6 or 10 milliliters of liquid into the pre-infusion, this is part of the recipe. So just because you're adding 10 milliliters of liquid into it, you're not adding 10 additional milliliters into your product. It is basically part of the product. I hope that answered that question there around the pre-infusion and the dwell time. To always take it over, you always have to press save and exit. And with this, when you leave the page, the machine stores the recipe. You saw on that screen as well that you have a test coffee button there. So that's always a very helpful time there or procedure to test the visually production from the product. The good thing is at that point you'll have here a shot timer running on the top, and the machine shows you exactly how long it takes to make that drink. We normally say that a double espresso, 14 grams, 60 milliliters of coffee should be somewhere around and dispense time between 18 to 23 seconds to get a good taste profile. Again, this all depends on which kind of coffee you're using and what's your personal preference on the drink as well. This is just an SCA standard. I hope that answered the questions there. We still have some other things we can change here in the advanced programming. One is the machine settings. The only thing what you can change in the machine settings is the temperature. The temperature is the overall temperature from brewing, and whenever you increase or decrease it, the product is getting slightly hotter or colder. Remember, changing the temperature from the brew water is a huge impact or has a huge impact in the taste profile from your coffee. And the closer you're getting up to 212 degrees, the closer you're getting to a temperature where the water might be start boiling. So we put it in as a default somewhere around the 195. We see the most customers are running it between 195 and 198. That's normally the range there. There was another question coming in. The question was about if this machine can capture a TDS. No. Unfortunately, we cannot capture TDS, neither a TDS from the incoming water, nor we can capture a TDS reading from the actual coffee which had been dispensed from the equipment. That's something, unfortunately, what this unit cannot be doing. TDS, if it's in regards to the incoming water supply, all these units should be running on a Brita or Mavea filter for water filtration. And if this one is set correctly, we are eliminating scale build up in the steam boiler for the maintenance portion of that one. But unfortunately, again, for measuring TDS in the cup, in the finished coffee product, we don't have any way to capture that with this equipment. I would like to finish about the grinder settings here. The machine locked me out because of 30 seconds inactivity. So the operator code was 6601. If I go into the grinder settings, I will cover that one in one of the other classes where we are actually doing a grinder calibration. How do we do a catch test, and how do we calibrate the grinder correctly, and how we are looking at the dispense time. So that's part of another session here. So I don't want to go further into this one because we are keeping that as one of the other classes. We have two more fields. So the key assignment is, with the key assignment, I can change any of the 9 products on the screen. The only thing what I cannot do is I cannot add, for example, a Guido's espresso. Because you can only add or delete icons which are part of a library. So you can basically press an unassigned button, and then the machine will bring you up suggestions what you can pick there as a drink. And as soon as you then, for example, put in the hot water, you will suddenly see that I added the hot water to the screen, and that is available then for the customer. If I press then save and exit, it is always there on the screen. There was a question, once we set the machine with the recipes for our drinks, could we use bundling to send the information to other SureTemps or copy and paste? A very great question, and you had been a little bit faster than I was. And the reason is we have here an import and export function. So what you can do is you can basically take a USB stick, put it into our control board, press then import and export, and if you have a USB stick there inside, the machine will recognize it. So at that point you can export the information on the USB stick, take the USB stick to the next unit, and basically import there the file. We will show this in one of the next classes there. You mentioned Bunlink. Bunlink has the capability to see recipes which are in the unit, and we can remotely change these recipe settings with Bunlink. If you want to get that done, please let us and contact us here at Bun, and we will work with you that we are looking what is in the unit, compare it perhaps with another unit, and change their value. So that is possible via Bunlink, but this has to be done from our side as an admin. And if you want to do it on your side, you always have the capability or possibility to do it with an import-export and carry that recipe from machine to machine. What you do at that point as well is, as part of the recipe, is basically your screen layout here. So at that point you carry everything over there and bring everything to the next machine. The next question is, could I send coffee to you and we would work together on best setting to build recipes? How much would that be? That's a great question. We are here as one of the equipment manufacturers, and we always want to make sure that you're serving the best drinks to your customers. What I would suggest at that point is that you contact your local rep, and he will then basically work with you in regards to that. We can get some coffee samples over here. We can put it here inside. We have a lab. We have a person here who is really just dedicated in tasting and getting this set up. We do the same thing for our drip equipment. If you want, you can also contact me here. My email address is guido.dye@bun.com. We can send you that email there as well, and I would make then the connection to the sales department there. So yes, we are here to help you. We are here to set you up recipes, taste profiles, and work with you around these things. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, there's one more. Let me scroll real quick down here. Okay. The email address, we will typing it in. So Jim, who's greatly supporting me here with the admin stuff, he's putting it into the question and answer, and with this you will see it. Okay. You should have gotten that one there. So if there's nothing else, I hope to see you guys over the next couple of weeks. The next session we will cover cleaning, we will cover grind adjustment. I think that's a very important thing to make sure that the products are coming out to your right taste profile, taste expectations, so that your customers like it. Thanks for taking the time, and talk to you next Friday. Have a good time.